and I played Pokemon Pearl.
Hmm.
And that's it.
My favorite personal generation is Gen 5 with Black and White.
All black and white, yeah.
Yeah, they're really good. I like basically all the new Pokemon in that gen. It's got a good story. It's my personal favorite, but I like almost all Pokemon
I
games.
like the ice cream Pokemon
Yeah. I like Vanillish. It's good.
and Trubbish.
Yeah, look,
Okay.
here's the thing. People bring up Trubbish as like, oh, it's such a bad design. It's like, Gen 1 has two, like,
Oh, Gen
waste-based
1.
Pokemon. It has
Yeah.
two waste-based Pokemon with air pollution for Weezing and liquid pollution for Muck, right? And then Trubbish comes along 4 generations later for land pollution. It's the same theme, it's just completing the trifecta. That's why I think it's okay.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's see. We've got Susan the Tyranitar up against Espeon. Whatever move comes out is definitely going to kill. Espeon's base defense is 60, and Susan is a Tyranitar, so it'll live this Earthquake because it wasn't Stab from being Rock type, and it wasn't a Dark type Crunch, which Espeon is weak to, but it's definitely like not looking good. Its Psybeam won't do anything. As far as I know, this player does not know type matchups. He was surprised when Acid, which is a poison type move, did not affect my Steel type Magneton last round. So, yeah,
It sounds like something I'd do.
it's tough. Like, especially if you haven't played all the gens, you know, knowing all the type matchups is hard. But at least in this generation, you don't have fairy types yet, so you don't have to know that type and its matchups.
Fair enough. Still a lot to remember.
It is a lot to remember, because in this generation there's 17 types, if I remember right, and all of them interact differently. Though some of them are pretty similar, like Rock and Ground.
Yeah. Wait, what is the difference between Rock and Ground?
Ground is immune to electric types, where Rock is not, and Rock is weak to ground types, where Ground is not. Ground is also weak to ice, and Rock is not. They just trade off some things. Rock is also weak to fighting and steel, and Ground's not weak to those. But offensively, they're almost identical. They're very similar types on the attack, hitting many of the same types. This is going to be a bad type matchup. Susan is, again, a Rock Dark type Tyranitar. Rock Slide or Earthquake would one-shot this Arcanine because it's Fire type. Easy peasy. No problem.
Damn.
So, because I'm guessing uninitiated on this, a Tyranitar is what is known as a pseudo-legendary Pokemon. So it's not like Mewtwo or Zapdos, which are legendary and you only get one, but it is a very rare Pokemon that only evolves when it hits level 55, which is higher than any other Mon in this generation, and its stats are basically the same in terms of like overall power level as a legendary. So it's an extremely powerful Pokemon, rocking Rock Dark type with Dark in this generation. This generation introduced what would be the two strongest types in this generation with Dark and Steel. Steel would continue to be a game definer for every generation from here on out, where Dark saw a bit of a sink after Gen 2 until Gen 5. But man, Steel types are just so tough to deal with in this game. And Tyranitar, despite not being Steel type, is just super duper strong. Its only real weakness is you have a very, very strong, very, very bulky water type. Ooh, this Ampharos knows Dynamic Punch. That's interesting. So Dynamic Punch has a 50% chance to miss, but has a very, very high base power of 150, right? And if it hits, it also always confuses. So it's a risky move, but in Gen 2, where Pokemon are generally more bulky, it's worth going for, because right there, critical hit, super effective. That's 4 times damage. Oh no, and the explosion, that'll kill. In Gen 2, Explosion halves the defense of the target before it calculates damage, so it will kill almost anything in the game.
Why?
Nobody knows. They removed that mechanic in Gen 5, but yeah, it halves your defense and then explodes for 250 base damage, plus the Pokemon's like attack stat, and then damage calculates. It'll kill anything. It'll kill anything.
It's a very interesting design choice.
Yes. Even Steel and Rock types, which resist normal type moves, die to Explosion almost with impunity in this game. It is an ultimate like cincher move. Even Pokemon with bad attack stats, like Gengar, who learn Explosion, can just do it. So if you're falling behind and you have a Mon with Explosion, as long as you have something else and it won't result in a draw, there's no reason to not use it. Nick showing his love for me using that Quillfish. Quillfish is an underappreciated Pokemon, but I really like it. It's cool. I think it's pretty good in most generations. It ping-pongs back and forth with Tentacruel on who's better as a water poison type. But Quillfish always has a nice little niche. And another plus is nobody knows how to fight it. When was the last time you ever saw that Pokemon in the bottom right of the blue box? Never. Nobody ever uses this Pokemon. No one talks about it.
Yeah, because it's Quillfish.
It's Quillfish. But I like it. It's a cute little pufferfish. It's good. If I had to guess, I know what player 2 is bringing. He's bringing Snorlax, Espeon, Arcanine. That's what he's brought every round, except for the first one where he used Umbreon, Espeon, Snorlax. I believe. He might have used Arcanine and just used 3 quadrupeds. But Nick is going to bring Susan and probably Steelix. And then the third slot is a flex pick. Yeah. So leading with Rocky the Steelix basically walls out his whole team unless he leads with Arcanine. Espeon can't do anything here. Steelix does not have great special defense, but it's a rental Espeon with Psybeam. Psybeam 65 base power, not that good, even with Stab. 130 base special attack, doesn't really matter. Steel halves the damage, and then Steelix's special defense is only like 80, but whatever. I don't actually know. In later generations, when Steel and Rock types are in Sandstorms, their special defense is multiplied by 1.5 times. I don't think that's the case in this generation. But it makes Sandstorm extremely potent in later gens, despite just being a field condition. You know, very, very strong. Yeah, Ampharos can't.
Is this the same?
Yes, it is the same setup as last time. Neither one of them changed their teams midway. He could have opted to choose different Pokemon, obviously. Nick very much predicted that Sandstorm's going to kill here. It deals 1/16 of your maximum HP every round at the end of the round. So, unless you are Steel or Rock or Ground type, then you're immune to it. But yeah, Nick predicted that switch excellently. He knew his opponent had the Dynamic Punch Ampharos to try and deal with Rocky, and it just didn't have any chance. Sometimes in Pokemon games, it's best to just let whatever Pokemon you have out be defeated, because then you get a free switch in to your next Pokemon without it taking damage.
Yeah.
You know, that's something I used earlier with my Poliwrath. I knew that if I changed out, I might lose more HP than I wanted on another Pokemon, or needed even. So I let my Poliwrath stay in and die. Or be defeated, rather, not die. Pokemon's not a game where they die. So that way I would have the full health on my next Pokemon.
So why do you think he switched to Espeon again?
It's really just like his best choice. Once Ampharos is done... Oh, well, that's actually completely changes that answer. I don't know. Snorlax actually has Fire Punch, which is a decent move in this case. Snorlax's special attack is terrible, but it still could do some work. But Snorlax's physical defense is also terrible. Snorlax is the best Pokemon in this generation by a mile, right? But it does have those 2 glaring weaknesses. It can't really run moves that are classified as special, so moves that are like Fire type, Water type, Electric type. Can't really run those because its special attack is too bad for them to do good damage. And then its defense is pretty weak. Like, its HP is great, its special defense is amazing, and its attack is godlike, right? But its defense is weak, which is why it tends to run moves like Curse, which raise it. And also Snorlax is very slow, but that hardly matters. Like, in this gen, Snorlax is so bulky that I could afford to get slower and slower and slower and still be fine. But, man, that was a sweep by Steelix. Against these trained Pokemon,